What's up, guys? Zach Evanish here from the undergroundstrength.tv. We're filming a strong cast. We got Joe DeSena here. He is the founder of the Spartan Race. This has been an interview I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm lucky that it's happening right now. And 2 years ago, I actually missed out on meeting Joe, but I was up in his hometown while he was beating the crap out of some lucky people. And you've got a very cool story, something that I really connect with, something that we're constantly talking about here with the Strong Show, which is really having a strong mind through a strong body and kind of intertwining it, living a strong life. And I know a little bit of your backstory about how you had a pretty high-paying job out in New York City. You were getting a little bit freaked out with just living a bit of a civilized life. You were like, shit, I think I'm going to turn into all these quote-unquote regular dudes, come home, do all the regular stuff. And you kind of freaked out and moved up to Vermont. So, Joe, I give us like a little brief intro on what was this turning point in your life that made you leave a pretty, as other people would say, like, you had this perfect life, and then you said, screw this is totally imperfect.
Yeah, so I mean, it's easy to get caught up in your day-to-day and never leave it, right? And knock on wood, I was super lucky. Had this incredible business on Wall Street where, 99% of the population would kill for it. And but you're stuck in traffic, you're in the rat race, you're running around with everybody wanting to meet at bars at night and fancy restaurants, and you're just keeping up with the Joneses. And so I remember turning to my now wife and saying, I say we pack it in and just go to Vermont, which is a pretty hard left turn in the middle of living in Manhattan and having quote unquote what feels like everything. And all my friends, everybody's looking at us like we're crazy, but we did it. We just packed it in and got some chickens and moved to a farm.
Right. So from what I understood, so basically, you had this cush job, you were hooked up, living in the city. For a lot of people, that's the dream. They get to the city and doing those things that you say, kind of, you're keeping up with the Joneses, but people tend to love doing that stuff. They love kind of knowing the certainty of life. They're going to wake up at this time. They're going to go to work. They're going to come home at this time. You're getting a paycheck all the time. Now, before you were, in Manhattan, I mean, you said you grew up in Queens. You've got this long history of just kicking ass. You're doing all these ultra marathons. You were one of, I think, the first guys or the first groups to go through the Kokoro Challenge. You're really the originator of creating these, challenges. You're the founder of the Spartan Race, and of course, these things have popped up everywhere. So what is like this inspiration for you to just constantly challenge yourself? Because that goes against what people are really doing today. They like being comfortable, yet you love being uncomfortable, and that's where you find comfort.
I think I'm less unique. I think what we're talking about is less unique than you think, depending on where you look, right? Because I grew up in a town where guys were masons, right? They're working with their hands, moving stone, rocks, brick every day. Blue-collar carpenters, electricians. They hustle and they work physically all day, every day. They all own their own businesses. So for me, that was normalcy. When I left that and went to Wall Street, which is most people aspire to come out of college and end up in Manhattan, you end up at a desk job. And my dad used to say all the time, those people in Manhattan, Joe, all they do is move papers around all day. Well, today it's emails, right? Even myself and you probably, we just email all day. You sit down in a chair.
I hate that shit.
No, it's no way to live, but we're all caught up in it. And my wiring, my DNA is getting back to like moving stone and doing some masonry work. I used to build swimming pools. I did construction. So I want to be around that. I don't want to be around a computer and email and moving papers every day. Sure, I mean, you make more money, right, in a white-collar job, but it's not all about money. Somebody said to me a long time ago, you don't get to put another quarter in in this game, right? This game is we're here, we're done, and it's over. And so you got to make the most of it. And I don't know if the most of it is about just making as much money as possible. I think it's about feeling good every day. And you can't feel good. No one will disagree here. You can't feel good if you're not sweating and your heart's racing. You're actually working, and it's not the same going to the gym for a half hour as it is just getting outside and physically doing things. So, and you can't really do it in Manhattan. And you can't do it in most of the big cities we live in. So I don't know. People think I'm nuts. We're in a 400-person town here with some chickens and goats, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Why did you go to Vermont? Have you been to Vermont before you just got up and left? What drove you?
When I was 13, my parents were divorced. My mom moved us to Ithaca, New York.
Yep.
And I had heard about this place called Killington.
Yeah.
Right. I was just learning how to ski, so I told my mother, and my father lived in New York. They were divorced, and I said, "Listen, there's this school trip to Killington," which I was lying. There was no school trip. And I organized myself a flight, and at 13 years old, I came to Killington. I spent 4 days skiing. I was hitchhiking to and from a hotel every day, and people would stop at a bar on the way home from skiing, which you'd normally do, and they'd bring me in and offer me a drink. But I was 13, I'd take a soup instead. Anyway, it was beautiful weather. There was like 3 feet of fresh snow, and I just had in my head that this was the most idyllic setting. And someday I'd get back here, and we got back here.
Interesting. Now, 2 years ago, you and I were just chatting like a couple minutes before we started recording. 2 years ago exactly, I was up in Battleboro. That's the name of the town, right?
Yep.
And met up with Mark Devine. And you guys were training. I'm not sure you guys maybe had an idea, or you had an idea where you wanted to create trainers to train other people for the Spartan race. And Mark was like, we carried a stone for like miles, and we were chopping wood, and we were, outside training. And while Mark was telling me, he said, Joe said that if these guys are to become Spartan trainers, that they can't own a gym. They've got to, it all has to be done outdoors. And you've kind of embraced this, you feel comfortable when you're pushing your body. But not everybody's like that. In fact, a lot of people, they just have a hard time.
That's not true. That's not true. Everybody's like that. We just forgot. Okay? If this was 200 years ago, 150 years ago, you and I, right now, would be stringing up the horses and getting ready to go cross country, right? We'd load up the wagons. On the way, Grandma would die. Maybe one of the kids would be born, and he would, or she would die, God forbid. And it would be a rough, year getting cross country. And that's what people did. That's what we did every day. And so we're all wired to live that way. We've just forgotten.
We're wired that way, but society and the rules of everything from schools to the way we work excess hours, it unwires people. What do people ask me all the time, Joe. They ask me simply like, I'm just not motivated. I can't take that next step to, just get to the gym. Why are you so motivated? Why do you think you're so motivated? Or are you sometimes just not motivated, and that's what motivates you to take a challenge?
Today I'm pretty sick. I got a bad cold, and which sucks. I don't know if I got it from one of my kids. I've been traveling for a month. I might have caught something in Mexico. Who knows? But so it's hard to get motivated when you're hurting like that, like I'm hurting today.
Right.
But I think whenever I lack motivation, when I feel the way I feel today, I then instinctually say, well, F that, I'm going to push even harder now. And it goes back to that idea that I have a proper frame of reference, and I think a lot of people don't have a proper frame of reference. And what I mean by that is, you said it, our current society, our current rules, the way we live, create a frame of reference that's cushy, right? Like if the temperature's wrong, or the coffee's not right, or the car didn't start, those things upset us. I always try to keep things in perspective by saying, all right, so it's still, you can't see out my window, right? It's still snowing here. right? My garage doors are to the top with snow. It's still snowing here. Last year it was 80 degrees here. And so I just say to myself, it sucks. I say to myself, could be worse, right? I could be on top of Everest, but like getting hit by lightning bolts or something. Like, it just always could be worse. I could be traveling cross country horse and carriage. I could be, God forbid, missing a leg, but I'm not. So when people say, how's your day going? I'm alive. That's pretty good. I'm alive, right? So you just got to have the proper frame of reference. And if you have the proper frame of reference, I don't see how you're not motivated. You just have to say, well, it could be worse. And then actually visualize what worse is.
Right.
Right?
With you, when I read your blog and get those emails or read interviews about you in magazines, it seems like you're just physical movement to you is the thing that kind of you utilize to help train your mind or to change your mind. So when you're trying to like build this mindset, if you were trying to build this mindset in others, what would you do? I mean, you've created Spartan Race, you've created a death race too, right? Which like the liability waiver, I think, just says you might die.
You may die. That's what we say. But if you want to change your life, you got to change your frame of reference. And so to change your frame of reference, you got to put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. What I used to do is I'd have my wife drive me 40 miles from the house, no money in my pocket, and drop me off.
Nice.
And now I got to get home. And it might take me 12 hours, but I'm getting home. And so, like, it would be hard to get motivated to go run 20 miles away from the house and then turn around and run 20 miles back. But when you have to get home, you get home. So you just have to force yourself to get in uncomfortable situations. And that makes the rest of the day comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? I like to say, I like to meet my lion every morning. What do I mean by that? In the old days, you wake up like just to take a piss, and you might get attacked by a lion. So that'll get your heart going. That'll make the rest of the day a lot easier.
Right.
So I try to do 300 burpees every morning, right? That's my lion. So, and that makes the rest of the day, everything's going to go wrong during your day. Everything's going to go wrong in your life. But if you have some proper perspective and the proper frame of reference, it makes it easy. And so that's what I do. And that's what we talk about in the book. The book is about making a commitment that, hey, I'm going to step outside my comfort zone. I'm going to make myself uncomfortable, because if I do that, it's going to make everything else easier. I'm sorry to ramble, but I do a lot of road cycling. And if you're out on the road cycling, no matter where you are in the country, a lot of drivers get upset with you. If they have to swerve just like a quarter inch with their steering wheel,
True.
That's an inconvenience for them. They beep. Some guys will flip you the finger. They'll throw a can at you. And you gotta feel bad. You gotta feel bad for those people, because if they're that upset that they got to turn their steering wheel a quarter inch, they don't have the proper frame of reference in life.
They also don't realize you're from Queens, so people flipping you the bird and throwing shit at you doesn't even bother you anyway. That's another day at the office.
What they don't know is now I'm going to ride forever on their roads. I'll never leave.
They've got no clue you're from New York. If you were telling people, so for the people out there that are like, shit, I need to get tougher, I want to just start controlling my life, would you say start working out in the morning, wake up, start doing, like, do something? What would you tell them? How would you tell them to start their day to get that mindset going and just have a more powerful attitude?
Step one, and we talk about it in the book, step one is you got to commit. And you got to commit publicly. So I'm going to go do this race, or I'm going to lose 20 pounds, whatever it is. You got to commit and put yourself on the hook in front of a bunch of people. Now you've committed. Now you've got to start delaying gratification. So that means when the alarm goes off at 6 a.m., you can't hit the snooze button, right? You got to deal with a little bit of pain in the morning. At night, when your friends want to go to the bar and you want to have that extra beer or wine, sorry, you got to change your habits if you want to hit that goal that you publicly broadcast. So step one is commit. Step two is understand that to hit that goal, you've got to delay gratification. Number one failure individually in society as well as globally is we all want instant gratification, right? We want to take a pill. We want to achieve all these great things, yet we don't want to make the changes necessary to achieve them. I was never a big drinker. I'm lucky. I don't enjoy the taste of alcohol. I just very lucky. So that naturally puts me to bed earlier than most people, right? I'm not up late. I don't like to waste time, and I don't get all those extra calories. And you know, I've always said to people, there's nothing good that happens past 11 o'clock at night. There's nothing good unless you're on a 24-hour race. What possibly good could come out of, you know, something after 11 o'clock at night?
That is true. You know, you're talking about just, you know, announcing things in Publix and just getting committed out there. You're a husband. I know you have kids. I'm not sure how many kids, but when I met up with Mark, how many kids?
4 kids.
4 kids. When I met up with Mark, we ate at is that your restaurant in town?
We got a little general store in town, yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I ate the food. I guess I ate some of the chicken eggs.
That's right.
It was great food. And your wife was actually talking to Mark about, I think you guys had, I'm not sure what kind of martial arts, but you had a martial arts instructor come into the house in the morning for the kids?
Yeah, so I was lucky. I know this Chinese guy in Queens. So when we started to have children, I called him up and I said, listen, I want to have a Kung Fu teacher live with us, move right in the house, and every morning at 5:30 a.m. wake the kids up and do an hour of Kung Fu, and every night do an hour of Kung Fu. Can you get me somebody? So he found me this master, and the guy didn't speak English, and he lives with us, and he literally just kicks their butts every morning and every night. And so they're like any other kid. They want to play video games. They want to watch TV. We just do it a little differently. We say, all right, you could watch TV as long as it's in Mandarin. You could watch as much TV as you want. So that's powerful because now they're learning another language. And as far as the video games go, we let them play half of as much Kung Fu as they do. So they do 2 hours of Kung Fu every day. They get an hour of video games.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you're more motivated because you're a father, you're a husband, and also you're a public figure? You're getting people to change their lives by entering challenges of various sorts through your different races. Does that motivate you more? Or what is like the thing, like your why? What is your why that's like in your gut that's like wants you to be who you are and how you are?
I mean, I was just lucky. My mom set the stage. My dad set the stage. My mom was a yoga, meditating, health food freak in the 1970s in Queens, which was unheard of. My dad was the most amazing entrepreneur, 24/7 maniac. Cared less about eating healthy, cared less about taking care of himself. It was just about doing business. And so I got those two influences growing up. But where they overlapped was we didn't let we got shit done all day, every day, whether it was my mom or my dad. And so that was instilled in my sister and I. And I don't know, I think it's a privilege to be on this planet. It's a privilege to have your arms and your legs, to not be having to eat dirt or rocks every morning, to not have to use a horse and wagon to get anywhere. And I just want to make the most of it. So when I wake up, when the sunlight, the only time I'll sleep past 6 a.m. is when I'm in a house where the shades are so dark that no light comes in.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm like a vampire. If light hits my eyes, that means there's stuff to do.
Right.
And I just want to get stuff done. And now, am I more motivated that we have, 1 million people competing Spartan race this year? And yeah, absolutely, because I'm supposed to be carrying the torch, and I'm supposed to be this public figure that motivates people. And by the way, it's the number one question I get asked too: is how do I stay motivated, Joe? And so yeah, that motivates me. It motivates me when somebody sends an email, says, "Hey, you changed my life. I lost 130 pounds." What absolutely sucks about this current life and Spartan race is that I've got to do so many emails and phone calls. It sucks.
I don't think you're on Facebook or Twitter. Or I don't even.
No, somebody asked recently, can you get your own Facebook, your own Twitter, this, that. In 1998, I decided I would never have a message machine or a voicemail. And everybody said, why? I said, because if somebody leaves me a message, I'm on the hook. I got to respond to them. I'd rather not. No, and so that's what happens with emails. You get those emails, and I take pride in responding and being on top of things. But if I had Twitter and Facebook and forget it, I'd have no life.
Right.
I was recently with the owner of what's that brand? Good Life. Life is Good.
Yeah, yeah.
I was recently with him, and
Those guys are from what, New Hampshire, I think? Or
I think they're from New Hampshire.
good guys, yeah.
Yeah, and he threw away. He completely went off the grid. He has a cell phone now. Only his assistant has the phone number.
Yeah.
And no one can access him. And I got to tell you, it sounded pretty friggin' cool.
It's so funny. It's like a couple of years ago, I had a BlackBerry, right? I have an iPhone now. But I remember when I bought my first house, I didn't live too far from my parents, and I was kind of like doing this freak out thing. I was like, good God, like I'm fucking driving my car to my parents. It's like a mile away. And on the way there, I had to go over a bridge that drives over the Jersey Turnpike. And I was like, I'm so sick of this fucking phone. I threw it over the bridge.
I love it.
And then I remember saying to myself, like, oh shit, I've got kids. What if my kid what if my wife has to call me? What if this guy? And then I didn't have a phone for like 4 days. And then I went and bought a new phone, and there was like 20-something voicemails, and I did feel so like I was so like enslaved to it. And the reason why I also threw it was I was like, I never had a cell phone beef. I always was the last person to get the cell phone after my friends. I said people could just call me on the house line, but I guess just the days have this kind of like lifestyle that we lived has certainly changed. What is your?
I'm close to throwing it away, man. I'm close every day.
So I've got your phone number. I'm not sure if it's a house line or a cell line, but don't worry, I won't call.
I'm pretty good. If somebody texts me first, it's fine. Hey, like good protocol is, hey, are you free? Otherwise, the phone just rings. You're in the middle of like feeding the chickens or something, and you want to throw the thing off a bridge.
True. You're in Vermont. Where I went up to was beautiful. It's obviously much quieter. You just said very small population. What does a day, what does a day look like for you? A somewhat typical day look like for you, lately? How does it start?
Andy, who started Death Race with me, he lives in town now, and he's a crazy person. He wakes up at 4 a.m., 3:45, goes to bed at like 6, but he's up at 3:45. And I'm probably, I feel really comfortable around 4:45. That extra hour is a big deal. And I go right to burpees. I love to do my 300 burpees. I always drink warm water with lemon first thing in the morning. I got that from an old Italian friend back in the 80s. And there's something about it. It's good, good for your stomach. Get my burpees done. Might climb the mountain in the backyard. We got a mountain. Might go snowshoeing depending on the weather. We got the kids' kung fu starting at 5:45, so I like to hang out and watch them do that. And then I go right into 400 to 500 emails, which is always painful. And then I got the phone calls all day, and then it starts all over again.
Holy shit, that's a lot of emails and communication.
Yeah.
So how do you think you could I know you have a big team. These races are going on just constantly all over the place. You've got the book coming out. You've got multiple races. How are you gonna, for people out there that are working more and more, you're working a lot too, but you start the day early and you get a lot of shit done, but how are you gonna kind of regain control of all these emails and all that stuff?
I got to regain control of my life. I like that. Listen, I get pretty focused and pretty motivated to build this business or whatever it is I'm focused on. It could be the chickens, right?
Right.
And so I got to get this thing right. We're in 131 countries this year. We got 1 million participants, knock on wood, hopefully coming through the finish lines. And I don't want any screw-ups, right? So we're on it. At some point, hopefully this thing is a little more automated and running, and I won't be as accessible. That would be fantastic for me. But then what happens is you get an email from somebody who says, hey, you helped me lose whatever, or you changed my life, or I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. And then it's like, all right, you bought me another day. I could deal with another 400 or 500 emails today because if I'm doing that, if we're doing that, it's worth it.
That's very, I feel you on that.
And then we got the book. I can't, I got to have anything we do, we want to be successful at. So I've never done a book before. I've had this book written in my head now for 25 years, and it goes right back to your philosophy of just how do we toughen ourselves up? How do we toughen up our friends and family? And so I wanted to get it on paper, and now we got the platform with Spartan to push the book out, and I want to make sure it's a success.
So you're just, yeah, you have no desire to do anything less than be awesome at what you do.
I'd be embarrassed. I made the commitment. I'm doing a book. Now I got to do the book.
Where did you go to write your book? Did you do audio and then got it converted, or did you sit somewhere and type away?
So I've been writing random thoughts because I'm a bit of I've got ADD for sure. And I had all these random thoughts that I gave to a friend who helped me write it, Jeff O'Connell. And then we edited over and over and over. And actually, where it all came together, I was invited to go down and meet Richard Branson and hang out on his island with him for 3-4 days. And it was pretty unplugged. And those 3-4 days, those 3-4 days got the thing tight. So that's where the book really came together.
Isn't it amazing that like you're going through this whole life, but it took 3 to 4 days of just being unplugged to get a big chunk of it done?
Yeah, that's where it all came, and then seeing Branson too, and he owns 300 companies, and being able to talk to him and see how he does certain things and apply all these methodologies we had to him, that helped as well.
So I got 2 questions for you before I'm also ADD with a lot of this stuff. So my first question is going to be, why did you come up with the name Spartan? Where did that influence come from? And then the second question would be, I'm going to want to hear about, how, like, what lessons have you learned into your life through being a business person? Like, this is a huge freaking company, and I'm sure that is way, way out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to want to hear about some of that. So why Spartan? Like, what motivated you or influenced you to use Spartan? Was that what was running through your head as a younger kid, or a book, or what?
Well, if you think I grew up in a neighborhood where there's a lot of organized crime. And so you're a product of your environment. So those were the guys that everybody as young kids looked up to, right? They were a quote unquote badass. And if you're in a military family, well, then you're looking up to 4 or 5 star generals, right? Those are or special ops guys, Navy SEALs. And so at the end of the day, the most badass people that have been on this planet that have been committed and motivated have been the Spartans. Let's face it, a lot of military name themselves Spartans. I mean, these guys were serious. And so when we came up with the name in my kitchen, the kitchen I'm talking to you from now, there was silence in the room because it was obvious that was the name. That's what we're trying to emulate. Those are the guys that inspire us. That whole concept inspires us. So it's such an awesome brand. I mean, just the word says everything. You don't have to say anything. Just the word Spartan. You don't have to say anything else. You know what we're talking about.
Right, just saying the word Spartan, you're right. It's just like it makes you want to elevate yourself to the next level and to believe you're something different and better than just, a quote unquote average human being. Yep. No,
yeah. That's right. And so running the business, the next question, running the business, I've been running businesses since I'm 8 years old. I had a firework business when I was 8. I had a swimming pool business when I was 13.
I wonder if I bought fireworks from you up in New York. My buddy used to live in Brooklyn, and his dad used to have like a 2-hour, 3-hour fireworks show. Every year it got bigger, and he used to buy stuff from somewhere in Brooklyn or Queens, and could have been buying from you.
You might have been. So anyway, one thing I've learned over the years running businesses is everything that can go wrong will go wrong. You're not going to be able to make payroll one week. You're going to lose your best employees. Your competitors are going to steal your customers. In extreme examples, your factory burns down in China, right, when you need all your goods. So things just don't go well in business, and you've got to have a stomach to be able to deal with that. And so I've developed this stomach and these philosophies over, I don't know, it's 35 years now. Not everybody has been an entrepreneur. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur because they're not able to deal with all that adversity. if you're an entrepreneur and you've been through the war running your own business, it's an easy transition to go do endurance racing. Because all you got to do is put one foot in front of the other and get to the 100 mile, whatever you're doing, 50 miles, 100 miles, 300 miles. It's not that easy when you're running a business because you don't just put one foot in front of the other. You're getting hit from every direction. You're trying to keep customers happy. It's not as easy as doing endurance racing. So for me, doing the endurance stuff and coming from a background of business was an easy transition. And then I applied a lot of the things I learned during endurance to business. And here's an example. When you're running, let's say 100 miles, and you're 10 miles into that run, and you're feeling a little hot spot in your shoe, you might not pay attention to it. It's no big deal. You're barely feeling anything in your foot. The problem is, at mile 40, that might turn into a blister. At mile 60, now you're limping because of the blister. At mile 70, you've thrown your hip out because you're limping in a funny way for the last 10 miles. Mile 80, you quit the race. So what I started to learn in these endurance events was that those little tiny decisions early on make massive differences later. So like in the example of like a NASA astronaut, if he turns the dial 1 centimeter to the right, no big deal, right? Except he might end up on the wrong planet. So like those little decisions have massive influence later in the game. And so now for business, I do a lot of, and we write about it in the book, upside downside decision making. So what do I mean by that? Like taking a phone call at this point in time, or working out in the morning versus getting some emails done at 6 a.m. What's the upside and what's the downside? What's the upside to staying up late tonight and watching that extra movie? What's the down? There's no upside to watching that movie tonight. I'm going to get to bed early. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to get my workout done, get my emails done. I'm going to be ahead of the game. So when I do my call at 10 o'clock with you, I'm fresh. So I don't know. I rambled a bit there.
That's interesting because I was just going to ask you. You answered it. I was going to say, how do you deal with decision making? That's always a big thing. A lot of people have a hard time simply moving forward or saying, do I do this? Do I not do this? How did you decide who should be part of your team for Spartan Race? Is it friends of yours, or how did you connect with these people?
In the early days, it was simply who's willing to work for food. We had invested so much money in this thing. I mean, I've worked my whole life to be able to come to Vermont and pack it in, and I would say I spent 85% of that money getting Spartan going. Wow. So in the early days, it was, hey, are you willing to come up here and work for peanuts? And the guys and the girls that raised their hand were the ones that got chosen. They may not have been the best ones for the job, but they were willing to do it. Today, they've got to have a Spartan attitude, right? They've got to be able to deal with the 24/7 culture. And now we've got the ability to actually pay some people. So we're getting some really good talent. But in those early days, like any business I've started, it's who's willing to put in the time for very little reward.
Yeah.
And so
that shows loyalty.
Yeah. And I've always had luck over the years with foreigners. Why? Because foreigners we talked about frame of reference before. Guy comes over from Poland. He's just happy to have a meal. I'm not breaking him. We're going to work till 10 o'clock tonight, no problem. As long as I'm getting a meal and some money, this is a home run.
You're so true.
Right?
Yeah. No, you're so true. What's funny is this, little beach town I live in, like out in front of the restaurant, out in front of the supermarket, there's got to be like 80 Mexicans standing out there all year, Monday through Sunday, freezing cold, snow, rain. They're there like waiting to do work.
Want a job. They just want a job, right?
Yeah. They're ready to do work, and when you were talking about being a mason, the first house we owned, we had like all the brickwork done by a straight up Italian mason. He didn't use any machines. He laid everything by hand, and he also broke the old sidewalk with sledgehammer. He was definitely in his 50s, and his son was like early 20s, and I remember saying to his son, like, hey, are you going to take over your dad's business? He's like, I don't know. He's like, my back is already messed up, this and that. And I remember I bought them pizza, and everybody sat to eat pizza, and the dad was eating pizza, laying brick with the other hand. He just
that's my kind of guy. That's the Spartan, right? That's who, yeah, that's who I was around as a kid, and that's what's lost in this country.
Yeah, he just didn't stop, and I pay attention to those little things too. Stuff like that reminds me to also, be tougher, not to complain, or exactly what you said. Who actually told me exactly what you said? It could be worse. Is I'm not sure if you ever connected with him, but I'll help you make that connection. Is the guy that wrote the book No Easy Day, the former SEAL?
Oh, I'd love to connect with him.
Yeah. So he says the same thing. He's like, it could always be worse.
Yeah, no, that's what I go through it every day. I go through it every day. That's what I say to myself. Even last night, I had whatever the hell I picked up in Mexico, whatever this thing is I got going on right now. So, well, I'm alive. So as long as I'm alive.
How do you you have chickens, and I ate at your that general store. I mean, and there was like these health juices, shakes. Mark bought 2 of them. He bought 2 for each of us.
Juices, the green juices, yeah.
Yeah. What does a day of eating look like for you?
So I love 2 eggs in the morning, and I love garlic potatoes. So I had these Slovakians working with me when I did construction.
Yep.
These guys ate a clove of garlic every day. They smell, but you remember the old witch doctors would wear garlic around them because witch doctors couldn't figure out, well, gee, it seems to get rid of a lot of these evil spirits. It wasn't evil spirits they were getting rid of. It's bacteria and germs. If you put garlic in a petri dish, stuff can't grow in it. It kills everything. Yeah. So I try to eat garlic potatoes every morning, eat the eggs. I love a green juice because alkalinity is really important. You don't want an acidic diet, right? You don't want to be drinking sodas, and I'm just not a big believer in coffee. Green juice and greens in general will add a lot of alkalinity to your diet and to your body. Salad, obviously. I'm not a big supplement protein guy.
Just gonna ask you.
Yeah, it's not I just don't believe in it. I believe nature can do, which is why we have a farm, can do a much better job at creating foods for humans than humans can. And anybody that questions that, I just think back to the 1950s when Madison Avenue had worked on a campaign for new moms to not breastfeed. That breastfeeding was like archaic.
I heard of that.
And they actually convinced moms for a period of time to give children powdered milk instead. And so what that says to me is we are sheep. We just follow what people sell us.
Yeah.
And so you got to take your health into your own hands. And at the end of the day, you cannot tell me, we've been on this earth for literally a million years. You can't tell me that nature doesn't do a better job than we do at manufacturing food. Yeah. And one more turn on that. If you and I owned a food company and we were sitting with a board of directors today, I guarantee you, no matter how altruistic we are and how much we want to help people, the conversation at that meeting would not be about how do we make food healthier for people. It would be about how do we sell more food to people. That's what it's all about, right? You got to make the quarterly numbers. We got to get the stock up. And so if that's the motivation, how do we get people eating more of our food? Well, that's not that doesn't coincide with giving people healthy food. So
so you have chickens. What about like meat? Where do you buy like your food from?
So we have some animals that we slaughter on the farm, but we're not big meat eaters as a family. We eat a lot of quinoa. Quinoa, you'll get your protein if you need a little bit of protein. But this is going to sound crazy, but I'm a big believer, and I don't do it because society has taken hold of me in this area. I'm a big believer in raw food is better. So raw fruits and vegetables is, in my opinion, the ideal diet. Very hard to do if you've grown up around regular foods, right, and cooked foods. But if you can do it, as many meals as you can do, raw fruits and veggies, you're going to be a lot healthier.
Do you microwave any of your food ever?
No, we got rid of microwaves in the friggin' 70s, whenever they came out.
Yeah, that's so funny. I figured that. You know what? Like somebody asked me this yesterday, and I feel like you're probably on the same page. they were asking me, because I train a lot of high school athletes, and the question is always of this supplement and that supplement. And they say, Zach, did you ever do the supplements of this? And, you know, here and there, back in the day I did, but like my mentality has changed so much since like my early 20s that I feel like when I do supplement with stuff, I feel it bothers me because I feel like I didn't do the work myself. And I always want to know I got where I got because I did the work, I ate the way I needed to eat. And I'm on your page. And
we have a green powder I got from a crazy guy out in California. And I'm dying to recreate it with the Spartan label on it, but we've got this green powder where he takes cactus, alfalfa, wheatgrass, and grinds it up. And so now for 2 years, my kids have been getting it every morning, 1 tablespoon, glass of water. And the reason I believe in that is I see on the farm when we grow plants,
yep,
if we put seaweed in the ground and I put certain nutrients, even dead fish, those nutrients get into the soil and the plants grow better.
Like compost.
At the end of the day, we need minerals, and today's food sources don't provide us all the minerals.
No doubt.
We get. So I love this ground up green powder.
Do you have? Are you able to share the name or not yet?
It's not a name yet. It's just a madman.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. My grandfather, you know, he was in Russia, Poland, and then Israel, but his house had like pomegranates, oranges, grapes, lemon, I forget what else, but he would always, you know, bring in all the foods, and he never had a car. He rode his bike everywhere, walked everywhere, and just was so strong, and he was also a Mason. And he was,
you can't beat Masons. We got to live like a Mason.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and it's just funny. Also, you know, you brought up what what you have for your kids, and I used to be an elementary school teacher, and you talking about the way food is. Like, I started seeing, like, you know, I taught at an elementary school. The boys were getting much fatter at an earlier age and less everything, and the girls were maturing physically at this early age. And I remember it kind of really hit me, saying, "Holy crap!" This was before I was even a parent, saying, what's in all this food? And it just concerns me because, you know, I have kids, so now I go to the local butcher and everything's grass-fed, but you never know. Like, I don't know what's truly organic or farm-raised unless I'm going straight to your house, Joe, and, you know, buying from you.
Well, you can always visit anytime you want. Come visit.
I would totally love to take a trip. You're actually not far from, we go to Lake George, and I think you were about 30 to 45 minutes outside of there.
Yeah, you just shoot me an email if you're coming.
I won't email you. I want to close out with just like 2 or 3 questions. You wrote a book. And have you been highly influenced ever by another book or a movie maybe that really like?
I would say the movies and the book is definitely influenced here. The movies that influenced me are Rocky Balboa, as silly as that sounds, or Gladiator, or any movie where the main actor is unwavering. No matter what is against this person, they are getting the job done. This is going to sound crazy, but even somebody like Scarface, obviously Al Pacino is not doing something good for society, but he is focused on what he is doing, and he's doing it to the best of his ability, right? And then he gets off track and everything falls apart. But that's what excites me, and that's what I think the message is in the book, is that whatever you're going to do, however you define success, to commit to it and really attack it like it's the only thing you're doing in life, and it's a matter of life and death the way you approach it. Like, if I was building a business in my life, nothing gets in my way. Nothing gets in my way, and that's the difference between success and failure.
What how you have run like so many marathons, ultra marathons. I don't even. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Have any of them like really pushed you to a certain brink where you like found yourself?
I was in Alaska and I did the Iditarod, you know, the dog sled race. We ended up doing it by foot, and it was 30 below, and it was miserable. And I remember laying down in the snow at one point thinking, I'm done. Just literally, I'm done to the point where I'm dead. I'm done. Leave me here. And somehow you get back up and you continue to take steps forward. But I don't even want to fly over. I cut Alaska off the map in the kitchen that the kids look at because I don't want to see it anymore.
Can't even think about it.
Can't think about it.
Interesting. I'll close out with this one. Is there a question that people through all these interviews have never asked you that you're like, damn, I wish people would really ask me about this one thing. This is extremely important lesson that needs to be shared. Has there ever been something that you wish somebody asked you?
I mean, now there's a lot more questions because of the book, but I would say the biggest question no one's asked me that I think about a lot is how do you delay gratification? How do you not? Do you know anything about in 1960s, the cookie test or the marshmallow test?
No.
Stop me if you've already heard it. So in the 60s, and we talk about this in the book, there was a test done by a doctor who put a bunch of children in cubicles and left all the kids a marshmallow or a cookie. And he said, you can eat that cookie now or marshmallow now, or when I come back, I'll give you 2. And sure enough, when he came back, most kids ate the cookie or the marshmallow now. They followed the children for 30 years. They studied them. And what they found was the kids that waited and didn't take the cookie or the marshmallow now, those kids had better lives, better marriages, better SAT scores. There was 100% correlation. It wasn't even a question. Now, some people have gone back today and looked at the studies and said, well, there were socioeconomic factors that contributed to the kids that took the cookie and the marshmallow. They didn't know. They came from bad households if there would be a second cookie. My answer to that is that's the difference between success and failure, right? If you're in a 100-mile run and you're at mile 70, you're taking the cookie now if you quit. Go the extra 30 miles, no matter how painful it is, assuming you're not pissing blood. Get the thing done and take 2 cookies at the finish line because 2 cookies taste a lot better than 1 cookie. You know, I took my kid. We were in Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, and we went to dinner at 10 o'clock at night, way past his bedtime, and I got him a scoop of ice cream. And I said, Jack, his name's Jack, I said, if you want, you could have this scoop now, and I never give him junk food, so this was very exciting for him. Or if you wait, I'll give you 2 scoops. Now, you don't know what you're going to get with your children. It's scary because you may find out that they just want stuff now. And we were about 3.5 minutes in, and he turns to me and he says, Dad, how long do I have to wait to get 15 scoops? That's what success in life is about. Like if you could wake up early in the morning, not hit the snooze button, if you can go to bed early, not stay up late and drink with your buddies or watch late night TV, if you could discipline your kids and not worry about what the people around you they look at you funny in the restaurant because you're disciplined, screw that. Don't take the cookie now.
Interesting.
Right?
Really,
and if you do that, you'll get a lot further in life.
Really powerful. And I want to give people heads up on a lot of different things you have going on. They've got Spartan races. You said how many countries this year?
We'll be in 17 countries this year, 131 events, 1 million participants.
I mean, so they could sign up online for Spartan races. They've the book will be available.
SpartanUpTheBook.com.
Okay, SpartanUpTheBook.com. What about Death Race? That's still going on?
Death Race, YouMayDie.com.
YouMayDie.com.
And anybody can come visit Pittsfield, Vermont. Just come knock on our door. We take visitors all the time.
It's called Pittsfield?
Pittsfield, Vermont. That's our little town up here.
And
people usually they last about 12 hours here. They come, we put them to work, they're gone. They get on a bus and they go home.
Start doing work.
No one really wants to work. They think they're coming on vacation.
So that's why I'm invited over. I'll be cleaning the yard.
I can't tell you how many people don't talk to me anymore that came to visit.
Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. This has been awesome, Joe. It's been a real pleasure finally getting to connect with you, really. I'm pumped for the book, and I'm going to pick up a bunch of copies. I like to gift people with books because I feel that the right kind of book can change a person's life, just like a movie, has inspired you to, you're really seen as, all around the world as a very influential person, even though it's like you like to kind of be in this quiet setting. So we'll definitely have to catch up down the road to do a part 2. And this will be out on YouTube and iTunes. And everybody listening, you could catch the video of this at undergroundstrength.tv. I'm going to link up all the notes that Joe was just mentioning. And please share this on iTunes. Share it with your friends. I think this is going to be a life-changing interview for a lot of people. People do have to get that Spartan inner spirit again.
The leg, don't take the cookie.
Don't take that cookie, baby. Joe, this has been awesome. Thanks a lot. And if I come up to Vermont, I was already thinking I'd like to take my kids, but they'll...
No, bring them. Bring them. They're going to love it. I might keep them here an extra week.
I don't know how long they could hang. It's all about the test. Thanks so much. Feel better, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much. Shoot me an email on the book.
Absolutely. Thank you.